have to leave Mexico. We have to get rid of all our belongings again.
And this one's only 10,000. Yes, it's only 10,000. Girl.
And furnished.
Girl. Yeah. YouTube before.
No, that's my best.
And you have a view. He's not gonna hold this for you.
And the sun comes through the window.
3 bedrooms, which is perfect for Karen and her daughters.
I did not expect to like the first house I saw so freaking much when I'm planning to be gone for 4 months.
Did you see the pots?
I know. I'm just telling you, this man's not holding this for you.
Oh yeah, and we moved. Still setting up. You'll have to stay posted for the video of my new house. Good morning, sunshine. If you are new to me, hi, my name is Karen, and I've been traveling with my 2 daughters full-time for the past 5 years, and we've been in Mexico for almost 2. I cannot believe this. Yes, almost 2. So what happened? Well, we got to Mexico in February of 2021. We lived in Merida for a few months and then decided to travel to San Cristobal de las Casas. When we got here, we thought we were just gonna stay here for a couple of months, you know, just to explore, to get to know the locals and things like that, and we kind of loved it. So we ended up staying longer. Now we're still traveling. We just kind of decided to use this as a home base. And because I'm a single mother, my kids' father is in Miami, therefore we have to travel back to Miami every few months so they can see their dad. So what happened here is last March, I knew that I had to go back to Miami. We had agreed on being there for 4 months, and we had no plans of where to go after that. And I started to get like anxiety over this. I had made friends here. I had created a life. We had even acquired some things because we had lived in a house that was slightly bigger than what we were usually used to. I got the bug to decorate it a little bit, and I'll link the video below. That house was gorgeous. But anyways, we had acquired stuff. So now this meant that we had to sell all our stuff to go back to Miami for the 4 months because we didn't really know where we were gonna go after that. So what did we do? I'm like, you know what? I wanna know if coming back here is feasible. And I decided to go look for apartments. Now, I found this apartment, well, this house, on Facebook Marketplace, and I decided, oh, let's go see it because it's really rare to find a home in San Cristobal de las Casas with 3 bedrooms. And this one has 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. So I'm like, we have to go see it. Let's see what it's like. And as soon as we walked in, I kind of fell in love with it. And you saw Anne's expression. Anne is not a very over-the-top expressive person, so for her to like it, you know this house was amazing. Yeah, we fell in love, so we decided to stay. The problem was that I was gonna leave. Here, if you don't rent the house right away, poof, it disappears from the market. It's the kind of thing that they put it, and within a month, it is gone. And I was gonna be gone for 4 months. So, we rented it. And to be honest, I have to thank my wonderful landlord because we really rented it because of her. Because I called her up and I'm like, listen, this is our dilemma. Any chance you can rent it to somebody else for 4 months and then when I come back, rent it to me? And of course, first she said no. But then she called me back and she's like, why don't you rent it and then sublease it for the 4 months you're gone? Now, have I ever done that in Mexico? No, I'm an extranjera, so you know, just the idea of dealing with anything tax related or I don't know, gentrification related worried me oh so much, and I will address this in a little bit. But she made it seem like it would be perfectly okay, that she wouldn't mind including it in the lease as something that I'm allowed to do, and so we decided to do it. That's how we ended up listing it on Airbnb. I never thought I would have a property in Mexico listed on Airbnb, but I kind of felt like there was no choice. So let me explain how we took care of this in the legal aspect. Wait. Okay, we're ready. Chiapas coffee is the best. Or let me explain how we took care of the legal aspect of all this. First of all, I have a lawyer that I've had since the first place that I got here. This is our third home in San Cristobal de las Casas. He helps me with like the signing of the lease and the closing of the lease and that kind of thing. So I called him right away and asked him to review the lease that my landlord had presented to me, and he adjusted it for me to make sure that Airbnb was okay and that me leasing directly to somebody else would be okay, and that it would still include the things that she was including for me. Like there's a maintenance guy that takes care of the home and the water is paid for the year, things like that, right? He also came and helped me with the signing of the lease, and he also helped me do a walkthrough of the house. So just in case you've never rented a house in Mexico, when you sign a lease, you're actually becoming responsible for anything inside the house. So whatever condition the house is in, you have to return it exactly the same. And this includes light bulbs. Like light bulbs, if they go out, you have to replace them. It's your responsibility. They can keep your deposit if you don't change light bulbs. This is important, right? When you sign a lease, usually the person will have photographs, and you do a walkthrough, you make sure that the photos match what's actually there and make sure the house is in good. We checked the washing machine, we checked all the faucets, we checked all the doors, all the windows, like things that I would not have thought of, to be honest. So it was really, really helpful. And that's how we made sure that everything was legal for us to list it on Airbnb. Now, the actual listing on Airbnb was pretty simple. You take pictures, you follow the instructions on the website and things like that. Something that I did not take into account were taxes. So the other aspect of the legality of it that I was worried about was taxes, but I heard that Airbnb takes care of the taxes for you. Now, I did not realize how much it would be charged, and I will tell you about the money aspect of all this at the end of the video, because that's why you clicked on it anyways, to know how much I actually made in my first month of Airbnb. So I will show you that at the end of the video. But let's go into the logistics of it. So I did have to go get towels and sheets and blankets, and it gets really cold in San Cristobal, so blankets are imperative. But I had to get all the little things to make the house comfortable for the guests, and because we travel, these are not things that I really have that I take from house to house. Usually wherever we stay already has these things. So I had to get it all new. So I did have an investment going into the process, but I wanted to make it pretty, I wanted to make it comfortable, I wanted the first guest to really feel at home and welcome. So the other thing I had to do is figure out how the guest was gonna go from finding me online to actually going inside, getting a key, etc., etc. I wasn't gonna be here, I was gonna be in Miami. So I enlisted my friend Anne from Priority Focus Live channel. If you haven't seen it, she talks all things Mexico and gives wonderful advice. So I asked for her help. So while I was in Miami, we did a Zoom call, so we wouldn't forget all the things that we went through on our first month of Airbnb.
Hey, good to see you. I miss you. When are you coming back to Mexico?
I mean, so I remember thinking it was a horrible idea.
I guess it was just because I was super intimidated by the idea of subletting in a foreign country on Airbnb, which is a platform that I've never hosted an Airbnb. I've used Airbnb as a guest, but just not hosted it. So I thought it was a horrible idea. I thought the idea of renting, 4 months, like renting an apartment and then having 4 months where you're gonna be in the US and then coming back, like something would go wrong in those 4 months. And what if you don't get a renter for the entire time? Like such waste, right? Like wasted money. So I had a lot of fears, but
like it'll work out. Like it's gonna work out.
Because things always work out. To be honest, I don't think I could have done it if you had said no. We have come across so many obstacles that we were not expecting. At least I was not. I don't know if you thought of them. You might be more realistic than I am, so maybe.
It had to be, like, I do have a question. How nerve-wracking was it for you knowing that I don't speak Spanish, or at least I'm definitely not fluent in Spanish, right? I have that transactional Spanish. How nerve-wracking was it for you? Because we had, I feel like, so many cross-communication moments. So for example, your tenant spoke Spanish, and so there would be times where we would need, let's say, the water delivered or gas delivered. So I would need you to communicate with the tenant to make sure that the tenant knew, hey, this is why I'm coming, what time I think I'm coming. Are you cool with it? They would have to report back. They're cool with it. Yeah, so I feel like there were a lot of moments where communicating with the tenant or the housekeeper was not as smooth as it could be because I didn't speak the language. So I'm just assuming on your end that was nerve-wracking for you. It was nerve-wracking for me. It was nervous for me.
So I'm not nervous at all because I have contact with all these people. So like you're the physical body that connects with them, but I usually will speak to them before you meet with them and after you meet with them, just to reiterate and make sure that you guys understood each other.
I had to make sure all the physical stuff was done because there's so many things that you can't do remotely. So for sure, if anyone wants to do Airbnb, they need somebody boots on ground near the Airbnb that can handle all these things. So I was responsible for one, making sure the doors are open whenever the new tenant comes in so that they can get the keys, come in the house, learn anything about the house they need to know, right? Internet password, that kind of thing. So that was one. I was responsible for paying all of the monthly bills. Obviously you paid me and then I paid it, but I had to physically pay it because you couldn't pay it online. So that's the PIPA, which is the water for the house, like cleaning water. Oh, what else? The CFE, so electric bill, the mega cable, internet, paying the housekeeper, paying the rent, because all of that has to, right? All of that has to be done in cash. So it's not something you can do remotely.
So like I said in that video with that aunt, I would not have been able to do this because in Mexico, you definitely need somebody boots on ground. So even though I had a maintenance guy and a cleaning lady and had connections for when we would run out of water or when we would need gas and things like that, you just never know what could happen. And something that was not mentioned in that video is the whole city ran out of gas. So when the person staying in my house ran out of gas, there was no way of getting them gas. And it was really frustrating, and luckily they were really patient, but it was a citywide shortage. There was nothing I could do. I just had to deal with it. And the house did run out of water a few times. I think twice, once or twice while they were here. So that was something that had to get taken care of. They also lost power, which is really rare where we live, but it happened. So yeah, like these are a lot of things that I wasn't prepared in such a short time for them to experience and me have to deal with from another country. So it was definitely hard for me to be in Miami and not be able to do anything about the things that were going wrong with their house, right? Or their experience. Now I was gone for 4 months and this family ended up renting the place for the whole 4 months. So I wasn't able to ever really get a review until the end. So, but I also didn't have to worry about rebooking, right? Because they rebooked it every single month, which was great. Now to the money, which I promised you we'll discuss. So what I did the first month is I went like $200 over what I paid for rent. And the reason for this is because I also have to pay electricity, cable, and whatever mishaps like running out of gas or running out of water and things like that. So when I listed it for $200 more than what I was paying for monthly. And I thought, well, if anything, that would be my profit, but I needed to have it just to be able to cover it. Oh, I also paid Anne for her services because I wouldn't have been able to do it without her, so I had to compensate her. So I quickly found out that those taxes that I talked about at the beginning of the video aren't the taxes that are listed on there that the person staying pays for. Those are completely different taxes. Our taxes get taken out of the amount that we actually make. Now the problem with that is that these are a surprise. You have no idea how much money they're gonna take out until they take it out. So it ended up being like $200. So the first month I actually fell under because one, I had invested money into the place, and two, oh, we ran out of water. We had a problem with the cisterna. The water was coming out brown because when they refilled the water, it made the muddy stuff that was at the bottom of the well come up. Didn't think of cleaning it before leaving. Probably should have, but I didn't. So I had to spend money on that. So yeah, so the first month I actually was in the red. So the next month I raised it to be able to like balance it out a little bit to make sure that the taxes were paid and I still have that cushion to pay the electricity, to pay the cable, to pay for the pipa if we ran out of water, that kind of stuff. If I owned the house, would I have made money? Yes, I would have made about $450 a month. But because I was renting, I made zero. Surprise, that's how much I made. But the whole purpose of this experiment was so I would have a place to come back to. And I think that made it all worth it, because having been traveling for so long, at this point it was 4 years, it was so nice to have a place that felt like ours. And as soon as I saw this house, I knew that it was for me because of the vibe, the sunshine, the light, the warmth. And if you're interested in our house tour, I will be showing you that, I promise. I don't know if you can tell, the house was completely white when we moved in, and we kind of altered it a little bit. We finally, I feel like after 4 or 5 long years, we finally have a home. And the fact that I have 3 private rooms, which is the first private room I have in 4 years. I love my privacy. So, was my Airbnb experience worth it? Yes, absolutely. And every time we travel now, I plan on listing it on Airbnb. Obviously, as we accumulate stuff, the things will go in one of the 2.5 bathrooms. We'll lock it up, so then we're able to leave everything empty for them to use. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I do crazy things and let you know my experience so you don't have to. It was fun, and I'm so grateful to it. So if you're watching, thank you, love you. Bye everybody.